Hello, ZME. My name is Ethan Pulver, and I'm a member of the ZME social media team, as well as the community engagement manager for ZME. Today, I'll be your host for this episode of ZME staff interviews. Today, we have a very special interview for you. This month, ZME got a brand new ATM, and to welcome him into the role, we have decided to highlight his journey throughout VATSIM. This person is none other than Henry Aure. We are very blessed to have him as a member of our staff and as the next candidate for this interview series. Without further delay, let's get right into this episode. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Henry Aure, and I'm the ZME ATM. I learned about VATSIM, I'd say back in 2022, and I was interested in learning how to fly initially. I grew up around aviation. I live right next to a very, very busy airport where the planes fly right over my house, and was, exposed to travel pretty early on. And I find the idea of being able to go across our whole world in a matter of hours pretty awesome. So I kind of just wanted to see how I could get more involved with the aviation community, and I did some research and I found VATSIM through some YouTube videos and whatnot. I started flying in Misfits 2020 that I currently still fly in. I was interested in VATSIM because I was interested in learning about what these voices were on the other side, and so I got into VATSIM and I learned that you didn't need to be some higher up sort of uniquely gifted person to become an air traffic controller. So I signed up for that. I got my ratings over the years. My first, formal staff position was the AEC in the Albuquerque RTAC, which was fun. I came to ZME. I became a mentor with ZME, was lucky enough to create ZME's social media department. It's kind of a bit surreal that I'm sitting on the opposite side of the chair currently. I eventually got my I1 rating. I'd say I think that's a little over a year ago, if not a year ago. And then I got my I3 at ZMA, the Miami RTAC, for a short stint, and that was pretty fun. And then I came back for the DATM role, and it has led me to where I am today. I transferred to ZME with my S2. Funny enough, I wasn't really interested in staff. What I really wanted was my S3 at the time. Throughout my whole VATSIM journey in general, I've been doing my best to learn as much about air traffic control as I can. And I figured the best way to do that was, becoming a mentor. And now I have my I1 and I've been able to work with so many people in ATC in general. I was never really set on a specific staff role position other than being able to teach others, because to me, that's the best way to learn, is to teach something that you're passionate about. That's sort of why I also did my social media. For those who don't know, my social media was, working with controllers and filming them controlling with their consent. And I was able to ask them questions and learn about different techniques that they used in air traffic control. And that taught me a lot. And, it just so happened that my social media had a decent following, and Dylan saw that. And that's kind of how I got into social media. And then from then forth, it kind of just skyrocketed my whole VATSIM staff career with a, TA, I1, DATM, and now ATM. So the Air Traffic Manager is essentially responsible for everything and all ZME things related, whether that be our staff, our community members, relations with our neighbors, and reporting to VAT USA. The ATM is responsible for the overall success and operation of this RTAC. Now, that being said, it's the ATM's job to know how to delegate, hence all of our departments. We have bunch of departments. We've got two pretty brand new departments, social media and community engagement, and then we have training, and the TA handles the training department. The DATM is kind of the higher up for all the other departments, so web, FE, events, community engagement, social media. The TA and DATM report to me, but ultimately I'm still responsible for how training goes and the success of our training department and the success of all our other departments. VAT USA and VAT USA's eyes is they come to me if they see an issue, or if they want to talk to me about something good, like complimenting or something, they'll come to me. And then additionally, the ATM is responsible for, seeing where we can make our policies a little bit more efficient, hearing from community members and evaluating where that is. And also, if VAT USA or VATSIM is considering changing some policies, VAT USA requires a lot of input from us. And so there's a lot of stuff going on the back end about evaluating the effectiveness and the righteousness of our policies. We'll go from the beginning and build our way up. So initially, obviously, I'm working on hiring a new DATM. That has been my primary focus currently. And then previously, when I was DATM, I was finishing checking in on all my departments. And so I want to continue in on that and make sure that the DATM isn't overwhelmed by initial wave of like work to do. So making sure our department stays strong. We've had a lot of staff shifts, so making sure that our new staff and old staff still feel supported. And then my, I guess let's call it middle, if we're kind of talking about like 30, 60, 90. So like my 60-day plan or goals would be like, we recently did a survey, as most of us know, and I want to continue working on some of the feedback that we got. So for example, something that I'm interested in is doing more of those surveys, because I think we got some good feedback, and overall I also want to do some town halls, and I think it's so valuable that the membership has a somewhat public space to actually approach us and talk to us about maybe there be concerns, or maybe there's something that we're doing really well that they want us to continue doing. So maintaining that and building on that is one of my goals. And then overall, like I'd call it like my 90-day plus goals. I think training times can be something that a lot of students, when coming into an art tech, is really high on their importance list. And also making sure that we retain controllers, is if training times really go up, we tend to see a decrease in controller retention. And so overall, I want to assist the TA and training team to evaluate our current policies, see if we can be more efficient in places, and see if maybe we need to build out a few more of our policies and administrative stuff. But I also think controller retention comes down to community stuff. I think it's really important that we, as senior staff and junior staff, all staff as a whole, we really take the time to dedicate part of our VATSIM, quote unquote VATSIM time, to actually sitting down and just being with membership. Because take out the fancy title that I currently have and other staff members have, as I'm just another community member too. I got into VATSIM for most likely the same reason that you all got into VATSIM, and that's to just be with aviation. So I think just taking time to control and be present at community engagement events is something that I want to continue to do. And then finally is building out our external relations. VAT USA in general is a very collaborative space, and for example, let's say Atlanta has a new tech thing or a new innovative thing that they're implementing, whether that be in the training department or they're doing something new, how they handle events, right? Having good relations with their senior staff and staff alike is really important, because then we can collaborate and maybe we can better both our techs, not just one art tech. And I think that's something that VAT USA would like to see, and also something that I would very much greatly appreciate, is making sure that we stay on good terms with all our neighbors. Not that we are not currently, but I think there's always room for improvement. And then also, I know the former ATM, Chris, was working on some stuff with virtual airlines. So I want to continue that, see if we can boost some of our traffic, and see if we can get some more LOAs like what we have with Pilot Club going within our tech. It's going to carry over from the ATM, but getting to know more members and mentoring others. Being in the ATM role, being in the DATM role, it's such a huge privilege. Getting to know everyone in here, both visitors and home controllers alike, has just been truly a pleasure. I find it so awesome that we all come from very different places, very different backgrounds, and we're all able to find shared, common ground over controlling, over the controlling floor, over flying, over aviation as a whole. I will meet someone on a random day, through a DM, or an email, they'll email me about something, and then all of a sudden we're talking, and I found out oh, he's a controller for I don't know, LaGuardia or Kennedy, or they're an air traffic controller somewhere, and that's really cool to know. So just getting to know members and also mentoring others. Something that I appreciate is just giving back in general. I've had so many opportunities. I think it's just so important that other members feel that they have those opportunities as well. And so being able to help others and mentor them through their VATSIM journey is something that I also cherish as part of my role. I think this is my favorite question. First of all, I will say, never in 1,000 years, never did I ever think I would be the air traffic manager at an RTAC, at a substantial RTAC like ZME. Never, ever. If you want to be where I am, or even higher, or just a staff role, you can do it. Sometimes it's going to take time. Sometimes you're not going to be told yes the first, second, third, maybe even fourth time. The other thing I will say is understand why you want to be in a staff role. Everyone does it for different reasons. Maybe it's experience, maybe it's giving back, but understanding why, because sometimes I see someone getting into a staff role and not knowing why. So they join a department, or they join, they become a department head, and they're there and they're like, oh crap, this is a lot of work. Wait, why did I even get into this? So you really do have to have some sort of drive and passion for it, and also maybe an end goal. Is there somewhere you want to end up where this specific staff role that you're applying to is going to get you there? And as I mentioned, patience. And additionally, it's hard to undo a bad taste in someone's mouth. So if you are talking to someone and you are disrespectful or you do something that's, you know, that someone's going to remember, and then they ultimately are the interviewer or the hirer. It's really hard to undo what you did in the past, and it's hard for them to overlook that when compared to other candidates, especially if you're equally qualified. Now, that's not to say it's impossible for you to get a staff role. It just may take a little bit more time. And I think just being present in a community, showing that you control it often, you're an active community member, you ask good questions, you're always respectful. That stuff we notice. And as a lot of people listening to this probably know, we've had so many different shifts in our staff department, ZME specifically, that, over like a 6-month period, there's a few staff positions that will always open up. When that happens, personally, I'm like, okay, who do I know in our R track that can make a good fit? And it's the person that has, consistently been, a good, active community member who I know has the skill set, the maturity, and can understand the responsibility of the position. So my biggest thing would just be patience. It will happen, and it may happen in a way that you don't think, or it may happen at a time that maybe is not what you expected, but it will happen if you stay determined, stay present, and be respectful.
That's all for today's episode of our ZME interview with Henry. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. These episodes are large projects for our team and take lots of time to create. So if you would like to support our channel, it'd be much appreciated. Special shout out to Henry for donating his time in order for us to film this episode. We wish him best of luck in this new exciting role. That is all for now, ZME. Radar service terminated. Frequency change approved. See ya!